ask right now, can everyone see my GBP JPY pulled up on the screen? Does everyone see that?
Yes, I see it.
Okay, so if you see it, I'm going to assume that everyone else sees it. I know they're muted out. And they'll let you know if they don't see it. So what I've pulled up here is the Great British Pound versus the Japanese Yen. And you'll see these arrows that I've identified. And what I basically did is just went through this whole week to show everyone that if you took the trades on at least GJ, then you were profitable every single day this week. And like I said, I will give the overview of the strategy. So the overview of the London breakout strategy is simply this, that when the London session opens, which is at 3 a.m. Eastern, and that's 12 a.m. Pacific for me, and I know I'm sure we've got some folks in the Central Time Zone too, so I'll let you figure out what time that is for you. But when London opens at 3 a.m. Eastern, London begins processing orders that were placed from the New York session and other sessions the previous day. As you know, London is the busiest session. It's the most volatile session, and a lot of people love the London session. And I'm one of those people that have grown to love it. In fact, I didn't trade the New York session at all last week. I stayed in the London session because I've just found it to be that much more profitable, and the setup is there. You don't have to look for it because it's there every single night, and that's what you're getting ready to see, that it is there. And I'm saying night, but it's early in the morning. So it's there every morning when London opens. And basically the premise is that the first 1 to 4 hours that the bankers are processing orders, the market is going to move in one direction over all GBP pairs. Now I'm just showing you GJ. Like I said on previous videos, you can see me break down every major GBP cross. But today I'm just going to do JPY because I've also found the JPY is one that moves every single day. So let's jump into it. These arrows that I've identified, and you'll see the date and the time down here. So this arrow here on this red candle, that was midnight for me. That's why you see the zeros down here. I have my trading view set for the time here in California. You'll see that we opened up with a bearish candle. And even without me drawing any lines, you can see, this is on the hour chart. Here's the 1 hour chart, that from that hour here and here, that it truly went down in one direction. And we easily picked up some pips there. So I'm just going to show you that for each day. We go back to the previous day. You look at this area. Here's where it opened. It continued in this down direction for the first 2 hours. You would have picked up pips there. You come here. This was on September 27th. Here was the opening candle. Look where it went. It went up for the next 1, 2, 3, 4 hours. Had you stayed in this, I'm sure if I did the math, you're looking at about 50 plus pips. We come back here. Here's the opening candle. Look what happened. Price tried to push up, but it was pulling it down. So for the next 1, 2, 3, 4 hours, all the way down from here to here. Again, you can do the math. I'm not going to do the math here. I'm just going to let you see visually that this is doing exactly what I'm saying that it does. That for the first 1 to 4 hours, while the bankers are processing, the market is going to move in one direction, and that is our opportunity to capitalize on pips. And then here was the 25th. I believe this was Monday. So again, here's the opening candle, and look, continues to go down for the first 1, 2, 3, 4. Doesn't even start going back up until New York opens here. So that is the premise. And again, this was just GJ. You can do this on GBP CAD, GBP Swiss franc, GBP New Zealand dollar, USD, and Australian dollar. So there's 6 pairs. And we'll get more into how you can capitalize on taking advantage of all 6 pairs. I don't want to overwhelm folks, but as you see, here was a full week of GJ. If this was your test week, or if you were just doing 1 pair, you would have been profitable every single day. Now, how are you profitable? How do we know if it's going to go down as it went here, or if it's going to go up as it went here? Well, that's the part we don't know. But what we can do is set what we call the pending orders. And that's where the strategy comes into place. We set, based on this opening candle, a buy stop and a sell stop. And the parameters that we set those for, like again, I'm not going to go over all the specifics because I believe most people on this call have implemented the strategy. But the premise of it is that we set a buy stop 10 pips above this candle high. We set a sell stop Now, originally, I taught that we teach it 5 pips below, but we'll go into the modifications that I've made. And so I'm going to just let you know that we set the stops 10 pips above for a buy stop. We set a sell stop 10 pips below. And whichever activates, that's the one we obviously take profit for. In this case, our sell stop would have activated. Somebody's, can somebody mute out for me? I'm hearing a small baby. As cute as she is, I'm hearing her in the background. Thank you. So in this particular case, our sell stop would have activated. Our buy stop would have been somewhere up here. And once we took our profit here, we just delete that order. So that's pretty much the strategy. And like I said, I've made some modifications to the strategy, and we'll kind of talk about what those are. Initially, we talked about putting our buy stops 10 pips above that opening candle, and we talked about putting our sell stops 5 pips below. What I found this week, and maybe some of you guys that were also doing the strategy this week, you got some fake outs. You got some fake outs where your sell activated, but it was really going to be in a buy direction, or it was your buy activated, but the true direction was going to be a sell over the next 1 to 4 hours. And so what I would recommend, and what I would continue to teach to my team and others, is that instead of doing a 5 pip sell, a 5 pip below the low, to do a 10 pip, make it even across the board. 10 pips above the high for a buy stop and 10 pips below for a sell stop. So that's the first modification. I think what that will do is prevent you from activating a buy when it's supposed to be a sell, or vice versa, activating a sell when it's supposed to be a buy. So you might want to take note of that if you've been doing the 5 pips below. Another thing that came to my attention this week, and I am going to draw this out because I want you all to see it. A lot of folks get anxious and excited about hurrying up to put in their trades. And so they've identified this red candle here. Okay, this is my opening candle. And here's what they do. They say, okay, I'm going to put my high in, and they'll look at this candle just like this, and they'll put the high directly on the candle. And the same thing below. They say, oh, okay, here's my wick. Here's my wick. Let me put my line directly on the wick. That's going to be my low. That is all well and good, but here's what I like to do. Because I don't want the fake out, I don't want my buy activating when it's going in a sell direction, and I don't want my sell activating when it's going a buy direction, here's what I do. I'm going to slide it up. I don't count pips. I just go by the visual. I'm going to slide that up. Remember, here's our candle. We're going on this red candle. I'm going to slide my high up a little bit above it, and I'm going to slide my low a little bit below it. So now it's not really touching, but you all know a wick can mean the difference of blowing your account or not. So now these are the figures I will use now. I will use 151.178 as my candle high, and I will use 150.606 as my candle low. It's not touching. Another thing that this kind of helps you do, a lot of folks are getting up maybe 30 minutes prior to the close of the candle, and they're starting to do up their charts if they're doing multiple currency pairs. And say you come in and you put your line here, and I'm going to move them back. Say you put them directly on your wicks, and it's 10 minutes till. This candle still hasn't closed yet. What you may find is you come back and look at it, and it looks like this now, because it kept moving. So that's another good reason to give yourself a little space. And before you enter your buy stops and your sell stops, your pending orders, come back and look at it. Don't be in such a rush. There is no rush. We don't have to chase this money. The money is here. We don't have to chase the setup. The setup is here. It's already here for us. Come back and look. Is your line directly touching it? And if it is, move it up just a little more. Again, I'm not counting pips. I'm just going on the visual. Same thing with the bottom, because all this is going to do is protect you and safeguard you from activating a sell when it was really going to be a buy, and activating a buy when it's really going to be a sell. So there's no rush. Let this candle close. So when it's 4 a.m. Eastern, look at it. If it looks like this, you're golden. You are golden. Because remember, your entry price is going to be 10 pips even above this. So your entry, I'll go ahead and draw another line. I'll change colors so it stands out. I'll draw a black line. Your entry, and I'm not going to calculate the pips, but just know that this line that I draw is going to be 10 pips above. So you're still not going to enter into this trade until it's 10 pips even above what you identified the high. And then the same thing on the low. It's going to be 10 pips below what you identified as the low. So these black lines now become your entries. And what I found this week, and particularly Friday, I entered 18 pending orders. All 18 activated, all 18 went into profit. And they were all sales. So anybody that was in the market Friday and you were doing this strategy, you had a really, really good day because the GB pairs activated in sales. None of the buys activated. And the reason why I believe I talked to people on my team and other teams, and they had buys that activated. And I believe the reason why they may have had a buy that activated is because A, they're too much in a rush to hurry up and enter this before this candle closes, or they're doing this. It's touching it. It's right on top of it. So that's just a strategy that I pass along to everyone. You have nothing to lose. The market's going to do what the market's going to do. And in this case, this week would have given you some pips right here. So the other modification that I would make. So basically, we've talked about two, just to keep everyone, if you're taking notes, we've talked about the 10 pips below versus the 5 pips on a sale. We've talked about your identifying your high, candle high and candle low by not touching the candle or not touching the wick. And then the third modification that I made, if you'll recall, when we first taught the strategy, in determining our stop loss, we said that on a sell, your stop loss was going to be 5 pips above the high. That would have been your stop loss. And on a buy, your stop loss would have been at the low. I have learned that everyone's risk tolerance is different. If you compute these figures out, if you compute it, okay, well, on a sale, I want to be 5 pips below, 5 pips above the high. You may compute that and it comes out to 75 pip risk. And say you were only going for 25 pips. That risk to reward is insane. That doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to risk 75 pips to only gain 25. But everyone is different. And I'm not here to tell someone what their risk tolerance is, but I am here to offer that you be smart and that you say, okay, if I'm going for 50 pips, maybe at the very least I want a 1-to-1. Maybe I want a 2-to-1. If I'm going, for 50 pips, I only want a 25 pip risk. And again, that is personal preference. That is for you to decide. But what I decided for me, and this is only for me, you have to decide what works for you. In any given situation, I'm not risking more than 30 pips. So for me, it doesn't matter about 5 pips above the high on a sell, or it doesn't matter about being at the low for a buy. Because when I did the math, some of those pips, I think Friday, one of them would have been 100 pip risk. I'm just not doing that. I'm not doing that to myself. So I figure out what 30 pips is. That's for me. So I just offer that to you when you're doing your math. Look and see what you are risking as to what you are gaining. As you all know, the strategy is meant to get a minimum of 50 pips. And that, can or cannot happen. I talked to some folks earlier in the week that said, oh my God, Janelle, it got to 49 and then it reversed. Okay. So if you're watching that and you see that your trade is at 49 pips, again, and I'm not here to tell you what to do, but I am going to offer a suggestion. You see something at 49 pips and you're going for 50, close it. It's not worth that extra 1 pip. Close it. You've done what you've come to do. So with that said, after 3 weeks of trading, I am going to tell you what I found out Friday, and I'm just going to share this with you. I share it freely. I think it's a wonderful modification that's really going to get some folks excited, and that is, instead of going for the 50 pip move or the 75 pip move or the 100 pip move in one trade, My thing is, why don't we go for fewer pips, multiple positions? So what I mean by that is, say this example, GBP JPY. Instead of going for a take profit of 50 pips, I'm going to put in 3 or 4 positions at 15 or 20 pips. So if I put in 3 positions at 15 pips, that will be 45 pips. That's almost 50. I can live with that. Or I can do 3 positions at 20 pips. Because what I'm doing now is saying, yeah, I know this can get to 50, but it can get to 20 pips a hell of a lot sooner. And I've now spread that over 3 positions, so that's really 60 pips. So it's almost like there's more than one way to skin a cat, or, there's more than one way to get 50 other than 50 plus 0. You can do 25 plus 25. You know what I'm saying? And that, if you thought this strategy was working quickly in 1 to 2 hours, I say this not to brag, but I say this just to tell you the power of this strategy. And I tell everyone, I use standard lots. With the trades that I put in Friday, within an hour, I had made $2,700. And that was by doing 3 positions, going for 15 pips, but I did do every currency pair. So I did all 6. So there were 18 trades in there, but in an hour, I was ready to go back to bed. I was done. So it was happy Friday for me. So that's just a strategy to think about. You're going to watch your trade a lot less. You're going to hit, you can hit 10 to 15 pips without trying. You can do that without a strategy. The market's going to move. And you see, just identified by every arrow that I showed you, the market is going to move in that direction 1 to 4 hours. So if you're only trying to get 15 or 20 pips, but you're, spreading that across multiple positions, you're going to make your money. So that's something that I offer. I'm excited to do it again tonight. It just makes a lot more sense to me. Somebody needs to go on mute. It just makes a lot more sense to me to go for fewer pips in a quicker amount of time. So I just offer that to everyone on the call, something to consider. And then that gives me segues right into Mondays. A lot of people are asking, should we trade on Mondays? Should we trade on Mondays? I took some notes last Monday. Now, GJ, like I said, this is my favorite pair. It moves. But if I went to another currency pair, you might see a lot of consolidation on a Monday. So here's my thought on Mondays. Even if you're still going to continue to go for the 50 pips or 25 pips or whatever in one position, just be mindful that Mondays are not as volatile as Tuesdays through Fridays. And so you might not activate as quickly. You might see a lot of consolidation. You may have some that don't activate at all because for the entire time they're just consolidating. So just be mindful of Mondays. Put in some strategies for yourself. Decide what's going to work best for you. I do trade on Mondays. I'm still going to trade tomorrow, but I probably will focus more on GJ. I'll probably look at the trends of the others to kind of see what they're doing, but I feel really, really good about GJ knowing that I can still pick up some pips on Mondays before we get really ready to go into the aggressive days, Tuesday through Friday. And one thing I will say, a lot of people don't trade on Fridays. I have to be honest with you. Every Friday that I've done in this strategy has been probably my best day of the week. So I think it has to do with London. Maybe Fridays aren't a good day to trade for the New York session, but the London session has been all love. So I just throw that out there. And then the last thing I kind of want to talk about is news events. Let me go. I've got Forex Factory pulled up. All right, so, this was the old one. Let me go to tomorrow's. Ken, sometimes when I switch screens, you all can't see my screen. So, Ken, can you see my Forex Factory news screen?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, excellent. So we see this is coming up tomorrow, 4:30 a.m. It is a news event, manufacturing PMI. And if you look at what it's kind of done in the past, the usual effect is that it's good for the currency. So what this is telling me, and I go back and look at the history. I look at September, it was green, it was better than the forecast. August, it was green, it was better than the forecast. July looked like it was negative, just slightly. But as you see, there's more positive for the pound than there has been negative historically. And the usual effect is that it is greater. And then if it's greater, it's going to be good for the currency. So what this tells me is that, so that's going to happen at 4:30. Remember, we're getting all of our data and entering at 4 a.m. Eastern. So in a half an hour, something's going to happen with the pound. And if it's true to what the forecast is, it's true to kind of what the history has been, it's going to be good, which means our buys will more than likely activate. Can't say for sure that's going to happen, but it's something to keep in mind. So I say this to say, not only do you want to visit the news, and especially when we're in the strategy as it relates to the pound, but remember, if you're entering in the other crosses, then you want to see if there's anything happening. Say, for example, if something's going on with the US dollar or if something's going on with the Swiss franc during the time we're doing our strategy, because it just might make you be mindful. Everyone on my end knows that I enter every single pair. I don't discriminate. I look at it like, you know, that's more entries, that's more opportunity for me to get some pips. I feel like I spread the wealth. So if I enter all 6 pair, I've got 6 opportunities to win. But if I only enter 1 pair, I've only got 1 opportunity to win, and I need for it to go my way to win. So that's just me. I know it takes a lot of patience to sit up there and enter 8, and I say 18 trades. Those were just the sells. I did enter the buy stop, so I really entered 36 trades, and that takes patience. But I figure I don't have anything but patience. There is no rush. This money is here. There's no rush to get it entered. There's no rush for it to flow to me. It's there. And as you see, it's there for the first 1 to 4 hours. So again, there is no rush. So I just bring the news to everyone's event. Pay attention to it. It'll kind of give you some context to what might be going on with your trade. So I will go back to GJ. And you know what, Ken, that's really it. I think at this point, I'll open it up for some questions. I'm happy to answer questions, especially, you know, for those folks that all of this is new. I would just encourage you to get with your upline, because they do have the videos where we go over the strategy in detail, how to get in, how to get out. And I will say this, there's some folks on this call that might be privy to a spreadsheet that helps you calculate a lot of these figures. And I would be remiss if I did not give all the credit and thanks to Dr. Patrice. She's with Team Freedom out of Trinidad and Tobago. She's an educator herself. She works at the university, and she spent countless hours putting together a spreadsheet that helps IML members implement this strategy. And at this point, everyone that has access to that spreadsheet, consider yourselves lucky. You got it during basically the free trial period. But I think moving forward, Dr. Patrice and her team are going to be looking at some ways to capitalize and to use the spreadsheet as leverage. And so I know that there's discussions with that happening now. Nothing is set in stone right now, but we won't be sharing that spreadsheet so freely as we did in the past. So that's why it's important that you do go through IML Academy, so that you do know how to calculate a pip. I'll tell you, the first 2 weeks, I didn't have a spreadsheet. I was sitting up there writing everything down, figuring out what my entry price was, what's 10 pips below, what's 5 pips below, what's a 25 pip take profit. Anybody trading Forex, you need to know how to do that stuff. Now, does the spreadsheet help? Absolutely. But at any given day, anybody trading Forex, that's the bare minimum. Adeze Duncan will go over it in Forex Basics and IML Academy. You really need to know how to calculate your pips. But the beautiful thing is that those of you that are not in IML, we do have IML. We have the IML Academy. There's webinars, there's training. It's a tremendous education platform that will even make you a better trader and even help you to be able to use the spreadsheet to your advantage. But Patrice, I don't know if you are on the call, but again, thank you, my sister. And Leslie is also with Team Freedom. He put together some incredible things. I mean, Team Freedom is doing some great things. So anybody on this call that's affiliated with Team Freedom out of Trinidad, shout out to your leaders, shout out to your upline, James, Leslie, Patrice, and others, because you guys are doing some incredible things and you are taking strategy and methodology to the next level. And I am just grateful to be affiliated with and being able to reap some of the benefits. And so that's why I share freely, I teach freely. A lot of people are saying, you know, why aren't you charging for this, or why do you do it for other teams? Because I have a different perspective. I have a totally different perspective. Abundance is everyone's divine right, and there's enough out here for everybody. So there is no reason for me to hoard it. There is no reason for me to keep it to myself. In fact, I believe I was put on this earth to give and to give freely and to give that which I seek. So with that said, I'm that's pretty much the session. If there's questions, let's open it up for questions, and let's get them answered so everyone can get some rest so we can jump into this London session tonight.
Yeah, I'm waiting on the questions. I wanted to really reiterate what you said about, especially the new. I had a chance to see the new spreadsheet. Is so worth it because it basically outlines whatever pip size that you're saying, meaning that originally we was talking about going out to 50 pips on each trade, whereas with the new spreadsheet, whatever pip size that you want, that's factored in as well. So it's so worth whatever charge that they charge. It's so worth it. It makes your job so much easier because you don't have to do any calculating. You just need to know your high and your low, and you just plug that information in, and it pulls it all up based on whatever pip size or whatever pips that you want. So I'm grateful for it.
Absolutely.
Grateful for it.
Absolutely.
This is a question. So let me see, blessings. The next few months will be amazing. A lot of changing lives. Okay, that's not a question. It says, what if you enter the buy and sell stops before 4 a.m.? A sales activate and the news is good for a buy. Do you move from profits to losses? So should I just ask you that one question at a time? Because it's almost like two questions in one, 2 or 3 questions in one.
Yeah, give me the first part.
Okay. What if you enter the buy and sell stop before 4 a.m.? First question.
So you don't want to do that. You want to let that, and back on my screen, you want to let this candle form. And that's what I mean about not being so anxious. I mean, feel free to get up a half an hour. I get up about 20 minutes till 4 a.m. Eastern. You can go ahead and get up, start looking at it, get all your charts, get a feel for what you're doing. I even start drawing my lines. But when the candle closes, I come back and I look and I see, oh, if it's touching, I want to move it up a little bit. If it's touching, I want to move it down a little bit. So there's no advantage for getting in early. In fact, it is a disadvantage to you to get in early. You want this full candle formed. You want to start to see the 4 a.m. forming before you start taking data from this.
That's really, 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 really important, because I'm going to tell you, I've been kind of anxious, because to have a strategy that works, and this strategy does work, you can find yourself being real anxious about wanting to get in the market and not lose any pips, but there's no such thing. That is really some good advice, to let that candle form and then go ahead and get in. The second part to that question is, a sell activates and the news is good for a buy. So in the first question, it was saying, because it makes sense if you read the whole thing. So what if you enter the buy and sell stop before 4 a.m.? A sell activates and the news is good for a buy. That's the question, total question right there.
So what's going to happen for you is, so if I understand the question correctly, your sell has activated. So you're starting to gain some pips on your sell, but then news hits and then it spikes up as a buy. So here's what's going to happen. Your sell is going to hit your stop. And that is precisely why I said you want to determine your own risk. The initial strategy said your risk should be, if on a sell, it should be 5 pips above the high. And on a buy, it should be at the low. But what if that's 80 pips? What if that's 100 pips? You don't want to do that. So if you exercise good risk management and you adopt what I say I'm going to do, you don't have to do this. I'm doing 30 pips. I'm not risking more than 30 pips on anything. So in your case, even if it did hit back, the worst that's going to happen for me is I lose 30 pips, but then guess what? My buy is going, and hopefully I at least get 30. So the worst that happens is that I break even. I hope that answers your question.
Okay, Jaquan is asking, can we use, using the exit manager, would we need, I'm waiting on you to answer the other question for me, brother, that I just sent you. Using the exit manager, many of you may not know what the exit manager is. That's fine. We'll probably be doing something on that. But using the exit manager, will we need to, or how can we apply that to both pending orders, or would we have to wait until one of the two activate?
Okay, good question for those of you that have the exit manager, and I do know some of the folks on Team Freedom have the exit manager as well. Those of you who don't have it, be sure to get with your leaders. It is a tool that, not an indicator, but an expert advisor that some of us are able to use. Exit manager goes to the chart. So whatever settings you have on your exit manager will apply for any trade on that chart. So if you have a buy stop and a sell stop, whatever settings you have, it applies to both. You don't change anything. And since you've asked the question, I'll throw it out there. What I'm doing on mine is, remember, I'm only going for 15 pips. So I'm putting my settings for my exit manager are as follows. Take notes if you have it. Take profit at 15 pips. Pips above break even, 15 pips. Trail stop, 5 pips. What those settings basically say is that when this trade reaches 15 pips, I want you to bring my stop loss up to a stop profit at 15 pips. If the trade continues to go in the direction that I want it to go, trail current price by 5 pips. So in that case, if this trade is going, so say that, let's go back to that news event, say news is good, your buy is moving, even though you locked in at 15 pips, if that thing is still going and you're trailing it by 5, you may go on to pick up 50 pips because you did a trail stop of 5 and you put it in your exit manager. So that's the beauty of it. You're going to at least get your 15. That's what you were going for. You might get more. And in the worst case, which is not a bad case, you don't get any more. You just get your 15 because it retraces and then it hits your stop profit of 15 pips above break even. So I hope that answers your question, Jaquan.
He has another one. This was actually the first one. Can we use the open, high, low, close numbers for each candle after the candle closes?
I'm not sure. The open, so you're saying don't draw a line and just go by what the computer says, what your chart says using their number? I'm not sure I understand the question.
Okay, I didn't either, but he'll come back. I think it was a pretty good question. I just didn't understand it. Okay, I'm gonna go. Oh, okay. When you put the accelerator on, I guess the mouse on your candle, those numbers appear at the top of the chart.
They actually appear over here on the right-hand side. Okay. So see this blue line? That was my high. So this blue number, 151.188, is the number. So once you put a line, it highlights over to the right-hand side. And I use TradingView.
Yeah, Jaquan, go ahead and unmute yourself, bro. So that way you can ask the question yourself.
Okay, how y'all doing? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, brother. Go
ahead. I can hear you great.
Mm-hmm. Good. I noticed if you put the crosshairs on a specific candle, that gives you the open, high, low, and close numbers of that specific candle. So what I do is wait until that 3 a.m. candle fully forms at 4 a.m. and I simply put, instead of zooming in and trying to get the specific numbers, I put the cursor on the candle and I use the high and the low, which is the H and the L, to put into the spreadsheet.
I got you. And so you know what that's doing? That's doing exactly what I was telling you. So when you do that, you might as well have your, and I'm showing you on the screen now, you might as well have it touching the wick just like that and touching the wick just like that. And that's what I've learned I don't want to do. And so I want to ask you, by doing that, did you experience both your buys and your sells getting activated?
No, ma'am, because I didn't put, just like specifically where you had the cursor right now, that should be giving you the information, and the number should light up green up there. If you put the crosshairs on the red candle, it should light up red. So it gives you the information the open, high, low, and close. So I don't have to try to find that specifically. All those numbers should be right there.
And I don't disagree with you at all. What I'm saying is I'm a little more conservative. I don't even want to give it a chance. So that's me. If you all like putting your crosshairs there, because essentially when you put your crosshair there, that's just like me putting it directly on the candle. That for me, I don't want to do that. But again, you got to find your sweet spot. And if you say, look, I like just doing the crosshair, I like taking the number that it gives me, brother, if that's working for you, keep doing that. For me, correct, I'm just a little more conservative. I don't want anything activating that's not going in my direction. So I just do it a tad bit lower. That's just me.
Okay, these questions are coming in. I'm sorry.
What you're doing is exactly, that works. And there's a lot of people that do that. And I support it. If it's making you money, keep doing it.
Okay, how do we install the Expert Manager on the MetaTrader 4? That's pretty simple, pretty self-explanatory. Once you purchase the Exit Manager or the Angel Bot, he basically shows you exactly how to do that on the video once you purchase it. So that's pretty self-explanatory as to how you can pull that on your MetaTrader 4. Now, I don't know if you can put it on your phone, but you definitely can put it on the laptop, desktop. Or,
you cannot put it on your phone, just FYI.
I don't think so either. How do we enter multiple trades if we are using the Exit Manager?
It's no different. Remember, the Exit Manager goes to the chart. You can have 500 trades on that chart. It doesn't matter.
Okay. The next question, if we have 6 different trades running with 6 different pairs, would the Exit Manager work at all on all? Yes, she just answered that. We just kind of answered that.
Yep.
Sabrina wants to unmute. Go ahead, sister. You can unmute yourself. Sabrina.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you just fine. Thank you.
Okay, back to what Jaquan was saying about putting the crosshairs on the highs and the lows of the candle. I did notice that my sell or my buy stop did hit when it was actually going in the opposite direction. And it only did that on the Australian dollar and the New Zealand, and more so the Australian. So I decided that I wasn't going to trade that currency pair. I would just double up on another currency pair that I know that would definitely give me the results.
Yep. I support that. And I think what a lot of folks will find out, you're going to have pairs that you just love. And so for me, it's GJ. I love GJ. Not that the other ones don't work, but they're, like you said, they're a little nuanced. And some days they kind of, Swiss franc is another one. Swiss franc pays really good, but you got to go through some changes with Swiss franc. Swiss franc will have you messed up.
So, yeah, New Zealand, I do not like New Zealand.
I don't like the New Zealand either. I don't like New Zealand.
All.
Or I don't like Aussie neither. I don't like
Aussie either. Aussie had me hitting my buy stops for my sell stops, and I was losing on Aussie. So I just completely stopped using that currency.
And you know what? New Zealand pays the least, so why go through the headache?
Yeah,
New Zealand, because New Zealand consolidates a lot, and I noticed that even when I was trading, doing the what is that? The with Jed, what?
Oh, the harmonic scanner.
The harmonic scanner. He doesn't even like using the New Zealand pair.
He does not. Either. You're right.
Yeah,
you're right. Well, good question. Good question.
Absolutely. I got hit on. They just agreeing with us about the New Zealand and stuff. You see if I find it. Yeah, stick to the GJ. I like that, and I like the CAD too. I like CAD. Reset high spreads. Okay, I got that. Any more questions? I know I see a hand raised. If you can ask the question inside the box, or I could just ask me to unmute yourself. That'd be great, Paul. I see that you have your hand raised. You can go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question if you wanted to. I don't know if he knows how to.
You can unmute him.
I'm finna go in a few seconds. Because there's no more questions in the box right there. I just want to make sure. Go see if I can find Paul. I don't see him. Did he leave? Any more questions, guys, while we're here? I like it. I've been consistently making about 20% on a return. I can't believe it, really. 20% on a return on my money. Now, let me put the income disclaimer out there. I'm not saying that you're gonna be able to do the same thing, but with this strategy, I've been doing about 20% on a return on my money. Even though I don't like the rest. What was that? New Zealand and Aussie? I don't like them. I don't think they like me either. Let me see if I got any more questions. Okay, here go a question. What is the price of the expert manager? It's about $15 one-time fee. How far up and down do you draw your lines on the candles? This is my first week, and I was drawing my lines directly on the open and closed wicks.
And you know what? It's a good question, and I don't want to throw people off. It's just that for me, after 3 weeks of doing it, I said, you know what? And that's the same reason why I changed the strategy. If you go YouTube it, other people, financial folks, and I'm no financial folk. I'm just regular folk that's just found a way to make money. So let me say that. But if you go to YouTube and do London breakout strategy, and you watch, professional hedge fund managers, they will tell you sell stop, do 5 pips below, and on a buy stop, do 10 pips below. After 3 weeks of doing this, I was like, no, that don't work for me, because I'm seeing stuff activate, and I don't want to take the loss. I just want to see blues. And so it's the same thing with this. If you all like putting it directly on top of it, look, whatever works. Jaquan said that he used the high and low, what comes up with the crosshair. If it works for you, that's great. It's just for me, I prefer the little buffer, and I don't count pips. I literally just go by how it looks. I look at the wick, and so this is on any given morning. This one at the bottom is probably a little bit more than what I would do. But yeah, if you look at my computer on any given morning, this is what you go see. You go see a little space, because I don't want anything to go in the opposite direction. Doesn't mean that it would if I didn't do that, but I just like the little extra cushion. Because look, wicks will have you met. Look at this wick. So like this, that's significant. So wicks will just wicks can do some things. So I'd rather give you some space and don't activate in a sell if you're not really going to a sell.
Rick, you can go ahead and unmute yourself. I saw you, brother, but I just wanted her to finish with that question. You can go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question, brother, if you can hear me.
Okay, I am now unmuted. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah,
yep, I can hear you. Yep.
Okay. I must admit, I am one who has been anxious, and I have activated all kinds of buys. I made $42 and then lost 50, and then won another and wound up with an $8 loss. So I've been through all the change.
Okay.
All right. So these modifications are going to definitely help me. But here's my question. Here's what I'm kind of weary. I just need to ask you just this question right here.
Please.
Okay. I love the space. Now, when I see the space and then I enter in the numbers, while I'm entering in the numbers, sometimes it'll move. And then when I hit the place, I'll get this sound saying, oh, you can't do this. And I'll have to, the candle will have moved. I'm afraid it's going to take off. Now, you mentioned that we don't have to rush. So if I'm still if I'm still like 15 minutes into the hour after the candle has formed, am I still good to enter in my trades?
Let me tell you why that's a great thing, my brother. If you're 15 minutes in, and especially once you implement the new strategies that I've kind of said, like do 10 pips below on a sell, do the little space. If at 15 minutes, your what was going to be a pending is now it's already there. The reason why you can feel good about that, brother, is that it's going exactly in the direction you thought it was. So market execute.
Oh, hello, somebody.
You hear me? You market execute the hell out of that thing, because what it says is that, wow, it is already moved 10 pips below the low. It's already moved past my little space and it's activated. Yeah, let me go on and get in this. It's not too late at all. It's going right where you need it to go, brother.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I'm going to make some money. Okay.
Yes.
Any more questions? Yeah, I know it happened to you, Sabrina. I know. Any more questions? This has been good. This is really good.
Yeah, it's great. And I think most people know we're heading into what they call the true trading season. So
yeah.
I tell you what, that's encouraging in and of itself.
Yeah.
And so to have something like this, and I encourage everybody, don't take my word for it. As I told you all, I don't come from a financial background. I've only been in IML for 3 months, but I am both a student and a teacher. So I read a lot, I study a lot, I research a lot. I definitely know how to follow directions. And these charts are here. Back test. Go do what I did. Go look and see what's happening every single day at 3 a.m. Eastern, every single day across every pair. I did it. I probably back tested about 2 months worth, and I was convinced. And then now that I've been doing it for 3 weeks and I feel like I've perfected it, now rather than going for 50 pips, I'm going for 15, but I'm multiplying that by 3 positions. I mean, that ain't rocket science.
No,
and then not. Because I have the exit manager, I will likely get more than 15. So it's good stuff. It's really, really good stuff. And I just encourage folks to stay active in IML Academy, continue to get on the live sessions. I'm on the live sessions every day. Like I said, I'm still learning. I get on Lex Waves. I definitely get on Jed Rich, Harmonic Scanner. I go back and watch recordings. Steven Lenzor, Stevenson does the weekly outlook for long-term trades. I go back and review videos like Fibonacci. So the learning never stops. And granted, this is an easy strategy to quote unquote follow, but there's other things like how to trail a loss, how to move your stop loss into stop profit. I'll give an example real quick. My sister is in Houston, and she's not in IML yet, and she's trying to learn a few things here and there. So of course I've shared this strategy with her, and she can follow directions. She's like, okay, here's the high, here's the low. She can enter figures, but she watched her account one day, and she was in a demo. She watched it. She was like, sister, I had $1,300 in the blue. But then when I went back and looked at it, I was $1,300 in the red. And I said, because you didn't move your stop loss into stop profit. And of course, she didn't know what the hell I was talking about, because she's just now dibbing and dabbing and just getting her feet wet. But of course, when she joins IML, she's going to really have that academy, and she's going to know what it means to move a stop loss into stop profit so that a trade becomes risk-free. She's going to know about, I should only do 30 pip risk, or I should only do a 1-to-1 at the least, or maybe a 2-to-1, rather than taking what the sheet gives me at 75 pips when I'm only trying to gain 20. So it's little things like that, you guys, that continue to increase your knowledge, continue to learn this Forex. It's just going to make you a better trader and help you to even get in and out of these trades, even though it's pretty simple. And when you have supports like the exit manager, when you have supports like Leslie's and Dr. Patrice's spreadsheets, when you have those kind of supports, it's definitely a sweet deal, but you still want to know kind of what's going on. You want to identify trends. You want to understand how the news is going to affect currencies, all of that good stuff. So I can't encourage you enough. If you're not in IML, you might want to get in. And if you are, take advantage of everything that's at your disposal with your membership. This kind of education I have my MBA, and I'm $80,000 in debt with an MBA. But I tell you what, I wish someone would have told me about this, because I would happily have paid $185 a month to learn this, as opposed to, what I did at the university. But anyway, I digress. I get on these tangents sometimes. I just, I want to see us all eating. This abundance is here for everybody. This $5.3 trillion a day industry is here, and it's here for us to get it. So kudos to everyone that's already with the company. And if you're not, get with the person that brought you to this call, because there is money to be made. And there's a group in IML that I see on Facebook that talks about profits over wages. And that's my new motto, profits over wages.
The exit manager, I think, is 15, 15, and 5. And then you have to activate true, right? As well?
No.
Don't activate true.
remember, if you're doing a trade, remember with the exit manager, those folks that have it, it's either or. You're either doing a trail stop or you're doing a fractal. And because these are short-term trades, I do a trail stop.
Got you. So what was the numbers again? 15, 15, and 5?
That's my recommendation. You may say, no, I want 20 pips. Or you may say, no, I want 10 pips. Like I will say this, tomorrow is Monday. I'm only going for 10. So tomorrow, this is just me. You don't have to follow me. But tomorrow, I'm doing 10, 10, and 5. That means at 10 pips, move my stop loss to 10 pips in profit, put my exit manager trail stop on 5. And I'm only doing that because it's a Monday. And when I back tested all of the pairs, Mondays were just weird. JPY will probably still go on to get several pips, but for a Monday, I'm good. I'm good with 180 pips.
How can you purchase the exit manager? If you have your upline, they should have it. If not, you can find me, Kenneth McCleary, on Facebook, and I'll get it to you. I'll get you, or just put your email in, inbox me your email address, and then I'll send it over to you where you can get it from. Or have your upline contact me, and I'll get it to them, and they can get it to you. Generally, how long does it take to enter the trade? They're asking that question. For me, it takes me about 15 minutes, 15, 20 minutes sometimes, if that. But go ahead.
I think everyone is different. I enter mine fairly quickly. I'm pretty quick with it. I do everything on my phone. My sister does everything on her computer. She does nothing on her phone. So I think it's just personal preference. Mm-hmm. But be okay if it's taking you 10, 15 minutes. Again, there's no rush. There's no rush. As you see the back test. It goes in the direction you want it to go for 1 to 4 hours. And the fewer pips you're trying to gain, the better. So if you're adopting my new strategy of going for fewer pips over multiple positions, then you golden.
I'm sorry, I have a question.
Please.
So you're saying to enter 10 pips above the buy and 10 pips below for the entry?
So let's go back to this example here. So this was our opening candle. This was the 3 a.m. candle right here. Mm-hmm. So we identify the high. That's what I did with this blue line. And of course, I do mine a little bit above the wick. But if you want to put yours on the wick, I'll move it there.
Right.
It's easy. Here's my low. This one here at the bottom. And so your entry price. Well, let's go ahead and look at what the high is. So the high, according to me right now, is 151.140. For your buy stop, your entry price will be 10 pips above that.
Right.
And then for the sell, the low is 150.645. And so your entry will be 10 pips below that.
Okay, so it's no longer 10 and 5, it's 10 and 10 now.
That's my recommendation, yeah. But of course, if everybody is going to look on YouTube, you're going to see the general consensus is people do 5. But I've just adopted 10.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay. Good question.
I have quite a few people asking me how can they get the exit manager. If your upline doesn't have it, have them find me on Facebook, Kenneth McCleary on Facebook. I could just send it over to you guys once I have your email address. It's very difficult for me to pull your email off of this when you put it inside of the chat. It's very difficult for me to pull your email address off of this and then send it over. But if you can find me and just inbox me on Facebook, my page is open, and I'll get the exit manager over to you.
Yeah. And just so everyone knows, we aren't affiliated with the exit manager.
Not
we
at
just,
all.
as IML customers and IBOs, purchased it. The gentleman that created it is in IML. He's a top leader. I don't know if he's a chairman yet. He might be a chairman. He's out of Beaumont, California. His name is Michael Angel Martin. And he comes from a computer programming background. So he created it, and he sells it for a one-time fee of $15, which I think is super reasonable. And even when he updates it, because he's done, I think, 1 or 2 updates since we've had it, Ken. Even when he updates it, he sends you the update, and he doesn't charge you anything more for it. So shout out to Michael Angel Martin. And the $15 is well worth it. He sends the video on how to install it. It works perfectly, and it's just a great opportunity. And it doesn't just work with London. We use it on Harmonic Scanner too.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, Natasha sent. Natasha's gonna send. If everybody will put their email address in, she says she'll send it over to you guys, the exit manager. To enter in more than one position, do you just hit the new order again?
Now, see, I'll let someone, I think, Tosh, you may need to, you enter yours on the computer. I don't use the computer. So I think you still have to enter all your values. I think new order will only work one click if you are in the trade. But somebody that does on the computer, please feel free to answer that question because I don't. Anybody? I'm sorry. I wish I could answer it for you, but my thought is you still have to enter on pendings. You still have to enter all of your settings. And if anybody on the call, if anybody knows the answer to that question, please feel free. We're all teachers and students on this call. So
what was the question again? I'm sorry.
Okay. They want to know if they can just, if they're entering the multiple entries, multiple positions on one pair, can they just press, new order without having to enter all the information again? And I don't think you can.
I don't either. I don't think that's possible. Natasha, you can go ahead and unmute yourself and speak because you got your hand raised.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So you can do it if you're using
You're real low, Tosh.
Hold on.
And there go those red lines again. I never know how they get there.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, but you can speak up just a little bit more.
Okay, so if you're on your computer and you're putting in your orders, you can still hit that chart, right click it where it says trading, and you can hit your buy stops. And you can hit your sell stops in that corner. So you can click them there, but you still have to go and hit the stop loss and put your trades in for you.
Okay.
Did that make sense? Did that answer your question?
Yes, they said they answered it. Okay, do you use different candles to determine the entry price for multiple trades of same pair?
No. Everything you do will always be on the opening, and you only use it one time. I mean, everything you do is from this opening candle. You get your candle high, you get your candle low, and from those two numbers, you figure out everything. You figure out your entry price, you figure out your stop loss, you figure out your take profit. Everything is predicated on opening candle.
Any more questions? Wow, everybody stayed. That's good. There's about 70 people on here tonight, and 61 is still on here. So the majority of people stayed. That is awesome. Any more questions? Don't be afraid. We're all learning. We're all students.
That's right.
Any more questions? I think for me, when you said it doesn't matter if the 4 o'clock comes around and that candle starts forming, and that 3 o'clock I'm gonna be honest, I wasn't doing that. But then I look up and see that I'm in the negative on some of my trades already. It's crazy.
That's why you don't want to be in a rush.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. Any more questions? I love the strategy because again, this money moves. It moved. This is a very volatile session, I think.
Yeah. I'm telling you, I'm not even messing with New York because think about it. Again, I don't say this from a braggadocious place. So $2,700 an hour on Friday, what I need to go play in New York for?
Correct.
Like,
correct. Yeah.
Nah, I'm good.
I mean, I would do it if I was using the harmonic scanner, but no, I don't want to do that. So the question is, how soon would the recording be ready? Maybe within an hour, as long as it takes to download to my computer, and then I just put it up in the group. I think it's Forex group that Miranda set up. I'll have it inside of there. So we are entering from Friday evening New York session, last candle. That's the question?
No. everything. We're just to repeat again, and you'll have to get on either your Trading View or in your MetaTrader 4. And the only reason why I'm back is because this was the last one to show you. Obviously, here we are right here. But it's going to be your 3 a.m. Eastern candle. So it's London session, 3 a.m. Eastern. That is when London opens. I don't know what the GMT is, but I just figured it's easier to tell you in Eastern time zone. So 3 a.m. Eastern. So whatever that is for you, that is the opening candle you need for this full candle to form. So it's no need for you to get up at 3 a.m. There's no need for you to really get up at 3:30 a.m. because there's nothing you can do yet. You can't really do anything. I think most people start looking at it at about 10 till. I start kind of doing mine at about 10 till. But then when 4 a.m. hits, before I enter anything into my spreadsheet or start figuring anything out, I come back and see, is it now touching? If it is touching, then I'm going to scoop mine up just a little bit more. That's me. You don't have to do that. So, and then once I see that, okay, it's 4, now the 4 a.m. is forming and my thing isn't touching. Oh, you know what? While we still got 60 some odd people on the call, let me tell you another thing I do. Since we're entering so many positions, as this 4 a.m., this is another reason why it's good to wait. As the 4 a.m. is forming, you will see kind of which direction it's going in. So if this was our 4 a.m. right here, then I started to see it form in a downward position. So rather than do sell stop, buy stop, sell stop, buy stop, sell stop, buy stop for every pair, guess what? I'm going to go enter all my sells first because it looks like it's going in a sell direction. And that's what I did Friday. All of my sells, I entered 18 sells. And the sells started activating before I even got all my buys in. Now, I'm sure I may get to a place of proficiency and skill and all of that to where I'm like, I don't even need to enter these buys because it ain't going in no buy direction. But it's just 3 weeks in, and I still want to be true to it. You never know. News can change something. So I did go enter my buys, but look, I didn't need to. I hit everything. That's what a $2,700 was. So it didn't even get anywhere near. Think about it. If this was my high and here was my entry, it never got up there. So my buys were never in jeopardy of being activated. So that's just another trick. See which way that 4 a.m. candle is going. Enter those first. Not saying it's going to work every time because it may look like it's going in a buy or sell, but then turn around and actually be a buy. But it's just a way to maybe save yourself some time.
It sounds like you just it's discipline, but more so than anything, just patience.
Patience, yes.
Yeah, and allowing it to form, allowing the 3 a.m. candle to just form so that you can get the correct high and the correct low and move from there. That's what it sounds like. That's good.
Just be patient. Allow it to come to you. It's not going anywhere.
Any more questions? Yeah, I will put the video. I usually don't do that. I usually don't put it on my personal page. I don't know why. I usually just put it in the group because those are the people who I know that are in IML. So I don't really like to put these videos on my personal profile. But I will send whoever, if you find me on Facebook, you say put it in my personal profile. I'll have it on YouTube, and then I'll have it also on in the group. That way I could just send you the link if it's on YouTube. I don't like to put it again, and my reasons is that we at least want, we already giving this out freely, and I'm with Janelle on this. I believe in the abundance mentality or the abundance, but for those that are not in the IML family, I don't know if we want to be just giving it out freely. So that's why I don't put it on my personal page. I don't like to put it on my personal page. In fact, I have not done any video that we've done so far, or Zoom that we've done so far, I have not put it on my personal page at all. Any more questions? But I'll have it in the group, or I have it on YouTube and get it out to everybody. Any more questions? I think we're done. I think that's it. No one has any more questions? Cool. I know we don't want to leave each other. We never do.
Yeah. Well, we excited. You know, everybody got to get naps in.
I know.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was official.
Good.
This is another wrap.
Well, I wish everyone a happy trading week. Be sure to get with your leaders, your upline. If you have any questions throughout the week, I'll get with Ken. We'll figure out the regularity in which we do these. I think that we also want to maximize our time as well. That's why he does the recordings. So we've got the original recording that really goes into the strategy more in depth. I purposely did not go in depth for it today. So if you're new and this was all foreign to you, definitely get with your whoever invited you to the call so that they can instruct you from start to finish how the strategy works. But I think you got a good overview.
Really excellent.
Yeah, and everyone have a great week. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it.
I can't wait.
Because this will be my first week doing, I did Friday the 15 pips, 3 positions, but I'm doing that this whole week. So I'm excited to see how quickly it hits 15 pips. Tomorrow, like I said, I'm doing 10. I'm excited to see how many extra pips the exit manager picks up. So it's going to be a great week, and I'm speaking that over everybody. So let's go do it.